What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm interviewing IFB Pro Bodybuilder, three-time pro contest winner, Jon De La Rosa. And we discuss a whole range of topics, and he really opens up in this interview. He talks about his divorce and then his subsequent move down to Florida to become training partners with Flex Lewis. I also discuss his relationship with his dad, who he calls his best friend as well. So all that and more in this interview. And if you guys like this content, please give me a thumbs up and smash that like button. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. Guys, I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome back to Desktop Bodybuilding. Today I'm joined by three times pro contest winner, Mr Olympia competitor. I'm pleased to welcome Jon De La Rosa to Desktop Bodybuilding. Mate, how are you doing on lockdown?
Doing good as we can be doing, just enjoying, being able to talk to family and spend time with my girlfriend, and just getting back to I think, if this thing has taught me one thing, it's that I need to start making more time to reconnect with people. And life gets so busy sometimes that we forget to just make a call, reach out to a friend, So I think this has really made me kind of, on top of that, my nephew was just born, which is the biggest thing in my life right now.
Cool.
So that kind of made me want to reconnect with my family, my brothers and sister, and just make sure that I'm taking the time out of a day to just give them a call and say what's up,
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people sort of realize that as well. Like, people have gone one way or the other. Some people have felt sorry for themselves and then haven't contacted anyone and sort of gone down a bit of a hole. And then other people have, even if they do have a rough situation, have seemed to reach out to people they haven't talked to in a while. I've even spoken to schoolmates that, I consider good friends, but I'm like, oh my God, I haven't spoken to them in a year or two, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Same here.
Yeah, which is actually a sort of a cool aspect of it, but obviously a lot of people are going through a lot of hard times. So I guess, even though we might be going through harder times than normal, it's still, I suppose, we're blessed compared to a lot of people out there. Now, I mentioned at the start of this year, a three-time pro contest winner. You actually, I mentioned when we called up as well that I said, oh, congratulations on, you're expecting a baby, but that was actually a joke. So you got me pretty bad there, bro.
Yeah. It's okay. I did it. I had I just wanted to be a little bit a sneaky and see who would be paying attention and really reading the caption. So I posted it up with my girls, having a baby thing. But it was really that it was my brother's wife's baby shower. And basically that day I ate a lot of food. And I developed a little baby of my own that I got rid of later that night. But yeah, it was just a joke. And a lot of my friends and family know that my nephew being born was a huge highlight of my life, and it's something that we've all been waiting for in my family. I'm the first niece or nephew that is brought into my family.
Awesome.
So it was a big deal for us.
Yeah, for sure, I bet. Now let's get into your history in bodybuilding, how you got into it, how you grew up and how you got into bodybuilding, because your dad did he formerly compete, or does he still compete now?
Yeah, was getting ready for a competition, I should say. He was going to do the Metropolitans in New York. My father's been competing for many years, but bodybuilding and lifting weights my entire life. So I literally grew up around weights. My father had weights, like a weight gym in our living room. We didn't have much growing up. My parents we had a one-bedroom apartment. My parents had the bedroom. We had a two-bedroom apartment. We were in the other bedroom, all four kids. And in the living room was my dad's gym. So he had a full-on bench press in there, dumbbells, barbells, all types of stuff. I mean, I could remember my mom telling my dad to move the bench so she can watch TV and stuff. So I just kind of grew up around it. My father always had the magazines, bringing them home and checking who won competitions and just admiring all the physiques of that time. I remember as far back as watching Lee Haney, which was, at the tail end of his career. Then watching all of Dorian and then Ronnie's reign, and Jay and then Phil. I've seen them all, and because of my father. The one thing that bodybuilding has brought me, the most valuable thing that bodybuilding has brought me is the relationship I have with my father. It was. I know a lot of guys out there that don't have a father figure in their life. I know a lot of guys out there that have a father figure but don't have the same kind of relationship, and look at my father and I like, man, I wish I had that. So I feel really blessed and lucky to have found bodybuilding, but also have the relationship that I do with my father. He's my best friend. He's been my training partner my entire life. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. I was about to ask if you guys trained together, and it's funny because I sort of have a similar sort of setup. Like my dad, he used to compete back in his 20s, and then he got back into bodybuilding when, a gym opened up near my house down in Tasmania, where I'm originally from. And because, there wasn't many gyms really down there for quite a while until about 10 years ago. And he got back into training, and we started training because he trained crazy early at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So we trained together for, even though it was only probably 3 months or so, it was like that sort of special like father-son bonding that you don't really get day to day, unless you're doing something actively together. So it's actually a really great way for a father and a son to bond, I think.
Yeah, it's just like any sport, but I think just like I said, it taught me so many disciplines, and having my father there kind of like guiding me through them. And look, bodybuilding has been there for so many things in my life, breakups, financial problem, whatever. It's always there. It's my go-to. And to have a partner like your dad come along and just help you get through things like that, it's really cool, because it's not only are you doing something productive, you're doing that with some, who else can you trust more than your own parents, right? So I'm there training my ass off, trying to chase this dream of being a bodybuilder, but also using it as therapy, with my father, and bouncing ideas off of him with how I should handle certain situations, and then him guiding me through them, but also helping me with my career as a bodybuilder. It's just, like I said, I feel super, super blessed to have him by my side. And he's just a funny dude. Like, just my father's charisma, the character he is just, nothing in life will ever bring him down. He has such an optimistic, good outlook on life, and I admire him for that, because I'm a little bit more like my mom, where I'm a little bit more serious. I take things maybe too serious sometimes, and my father is like the complete opposite. He never takes anything serious. So it's good to have that in my life, a little bit of a balance of both.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, does your dad, like, how long did he train with literally like his weights in his lounge room? And is that how you started training? Like, was the weights in the lounge room and you started training with your dad?
Yeah, I started training with my dad. I remember him getting me like some weights when I was real young, 7, 8 years old. He didn't make me train. He would just kind of teach me things. I would do curls and presses overhead or whatever. And then when I was about 13, 14 years old, I really started to take it serious. He helped me build a gym in the garage, and I had a full setup there: squat rack, leg extension, barbells. I mean, I had everything. And yeah, I really, really started to train hard then, and he was right alongside me since I was, like I said, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah. And then did you guys move on to the gym to train together, or did you always sort of trained at home mostly?
For the first, I would say when I was about 16, 17, so about 3 years, we trained in like the garage. At first, my father was just training in the apartment that we had. And then we moved to a house where we had a garage. We built that gym in the garage. And then from there, I think I was 16 or 17. They allowed me in the gym with his signature, his consent. So that we started going to the gym then.
Yeah, awesome.
My father would go to the gym during the day when I was at school. He would go to the gym with his brother, who was also a bodybuilder. He recently just passed, but they trained together for years at Gold's Gym in the Bronx.
For sure. When did you decide you were going to compete in bodybuilding? Did your dad sort of help you out with that? Did he do your diet or anything like that?
Yeah. No, actually, I did my first diet on my own with the aid of Lane Norton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was long. I don't know if you remember Muscle Mayhem.
Yeah.
Those forums. So it was back in those days. I was a teenager, and Phil Heath was even posting on that Muscle Mayhem at that time. But yeah, so I did my own diet. I just did a ton of research on bodybuilding.com. I was actually in the process of going to school for nursing as well, so I was learning a little bit about nutrition in that regard as well. So I kind of put everything together, and I started my first show I competed. I was about 18.
Yeah, awesome. And how did you do in that show?
I won.
Yeah,
won
awesome.
my class. I was 172 pounds.
Yep, killer. And how long were you competing as an amateur until you turned pro? What age?
I turned pro at 24.
Well, that's not bad then. You didn't take too long.
24, yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't take long at all. And I actually remember, because I was following bodybuilding when you turned pro as well, and I was like, this guy's going to be awesome. He's got a great front double bicep. Like, I just loved your shape. And I actually remember speaking to a mate when you actually did turn pro, and we were both speaking about you. And because you're one of these guys that you can't actually tell how tall you are when you're standing by yourself. I thought, okay, you're pretty packed with muscle. I thought you must be a pretty short sort of dude. But you're actually a bit taller than I actually think when you stand next to other guys, which actually surprises me sometimes. But you are very packed with muscle, because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, John should do the 212. This is a few years ago. And I remember you coming out and saying...
I still get that.
Yeah, you still get it?
Yeah, I still get it.
But how much do you actually weigh?
It's the same perception, right? You see a guy who doesn't have long limbs and whatever, so you perceive him as pretty short. And although I wish I was 6 foot, I'm not 6 foot, I'm still, I'm 5'7", but I'm still a lot. Some guys, this is the thing, like Flex Lewis, or even Jose Raymond's about 2 inches short. Let's say Flex Lewis. Flex Lewis was squeezing down into the 212s, but he was sitting around 230 in his off seasons. My off season, I get up to 280 pounds, like nothing, And then I'm on stage. These last few years, I've been competing on stage around 240 pounds. Yeah. So, and we're about an inch apart, So granted, now Flex doesn't have that restriction where he can just eat up. He has the frame to put on tons of muscle. The guy's a freak. It's been an awesome experience training with him this last almost 2 years. But there's a difference. I didn't have a restriction. I didn't want a restriction. When I turned pro at 224 pounds. So, from there, the name of the game is bodybuilding. So I continue to build my body, and every year I continue to put on a pound, 2 pounds, a pound, 2 pounds. I think the biggest jump I made was about 2 or 3 years ago, where I went from 231, 232 to 238 on stage. Granted, every year I could have been in a little bit better condition, so maybe shave 2-3 pounds off of that. But regardless, I was making strides, getting bigger. I wasn't trying to shave the muscle off. I was trying to put on muscle, because for me to compete with the top guys in the world, I can't be 220 pounds. Even though I think I heard Hadi was like 226 pounds, but he's 3 inches shorter than I am.
Yeah.
So,
it's crazy. Now, life has changed a lot for you, pretty much, because I remember you being a New York guy, and I actually want to know how your dad found you moving down to Florida, because you moved down there. You're obviously training in the Dragon's Lair with Flex Lewis, and it seems like, honestly, that is a dream for a lot of people training with, multiple time 212 Mr Olympia. And Flex seems like one of these guys, actually quite similar to yourself personality wise, in terms of very humble, very down to earth. He actually came to a gym over here in Perth, Australia, and I think he trained at about almost midnight at night. And when he finished his workout, he's chatting to me for about 20 minutes, and I started to feel bad. I was like, man, you go eat or do whatever. I felt guilty.
Yeah, so Flex is he's just a great dude. He's more than just a friend to me. Now obviously we spent literally almost every day together the last 2 years. So it's like we're one big happy family now. But my father, he wasn't too happy about me moving. It was just he understood. It was kind of the circumstances that I was on. I was just kind of going through a divorce, and the divorce really was hard on me. And I just kind of needed a change. I needed to, I just kind of felt trapped, I guess is the best way that I could describe it. Everywhere that I went in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, in that area, I was constantly being asked about what happened and had to, be reminded of it and talk about it. And it was kind of like this wound just kept getting ripped open, and I had enough, and I was like, you know what, I need to go away for a little bit. I just need to kind of, and that year was the worst year that I had in my career as a bodybuilder as well, which was really like alarming to me, because I was like, man, I'm letting this event that happened in my life destroy me. It wasn't just about bodybuilding. My health was deteriorating. It was just bad. So I decided, you know what? I had a show out in Dominican Republic, me and Victor Martinez put on. It was called the DR Coat of Arms. And I had flown out there, and I was out there just on business, finishing up the last little bit of stuff before the actual event. And I remember catching myself just like really like calm for the first time. Like I didn't have this anxiety and the stress, and I just kind of felt at peace with where my life was at that moment. But I also then realized that I had been alone, and I hadn't been badgered with these questions day in and day out, going to the gym or to the grocery store or whatever, because my relationship with my ex-wife was so public. A lot of people knew us. So I said, that's it. I need to get away from everybody and just start a new life just for a little bit, and originally this wasn't supposed to be, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a long-term thing. I just kind of wanted to get away for a little bit. And some business opportunities started to come up, and now it looks like I'm staying, so that's kind of where I'm at. And life just kind of did a 180, and it was honestly one of the best things I've done for myself. And that was the hardest thing. If you know me, I'm really not a selfish guy. I put everybody, especially if you're a good close family friend or family to me, you are number one before even me. So it was really hard to step away from my family and my friends and being there for them and kind of putting myself first. It felt really weird to me. I felt bad. I felt guilty. But,
yeah.
The entire drive, it was a 19-hour drive from New York to Florida. The entire drive, I was questioning myself, like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Do I really need to be this extreme about it? But then I thought about my career, and it's literally my life's work to be, and this sounds crazy because there's some people that dedicate their lives to being a doctor, things that are much more important than just being a bodybuilder. But bodybuilding is so important to me. It's literally my dream. A lot of kids grow up watching baseball, and they do everything they can to be a baseball player, and they don't make it, or a football player, or whatever. Somehow I've got here. Somehow God has graced me with the ability to do what I do and do it pretty well. And I wasn't going to allow whatever distractions were going on take that from me. So I just needed to remove myself. And I got here, and my career, again, did a 180. I won 2 pro shows last year. It was the best I'd ever looked. I met with my coach, Neil Hill. He took me on, and things have just been on the up and up since then.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's cool that you mentioned that you let a life event actually affect how you were, how you're doing competing wise, and probably what you're doing in the gym, what you're doing outside of the gym. And obviously, going through a divorce is, I can't imagine, because I've never been through it, but I imagine it's super, super hard, because when you get married to someone, you're thinking that's a person you'll be with forever and all that sort of stuff. Right. And when that's sort of taken away, that changes a lot of things, I suppose, mentally. And like for me personally, I know I have plans in my head with my family. I'm working towards this for my family, for this, for the future. And when that's taken away, it's like, where's your motivation? Sort of goes away. So it's sort of
that's exactly. Again, the people out there that know me, have seen interviews with me before, know that I'm a family man. Know that those are the core things that make me who I am. And like you just said, I felt like my entire life, my entire purpose, my identity was just taken from me. And I didn't know who I was, and all I had was bodybuilding. And going through it, we try to, I guess as human beings, or maybe as like extreme athletes, I can't even say extreme athletes, because I think it's kind of normal. We try to like brush things off and pretend like they're not affecting us as much as they really are. So that's what I was doing. I was going to the gym. In my head, I'm like giving these workouts 100%, but then at night I'm only resting 2 hours because like my brain is gone. So there's no way that, but I was convincing myself, no, it's okay. I'm on point. I look good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was like I was convincing myself because I didn't want to just sit there and just embrace what I was going through, face it head on, and then move forward. I just wanted to keep putting it off and pretend like I didn't just lose my entire life. You know, my home, my cars, my business, everything was just completely different. And I was just, again, just fending it off as much as I could. Bodybuilding had always been my outlet. So I continued just going to the gym, training. I'm going to get ready for the show no matter what. And I remember at one of the shows, a judge that I respect and who I consider a friend pulled me aside, and he was like, you need to stop, man. You need to face this. And I broke down. I was like, shit. It just kind of hit me like, I gotta stop. I gotta face this, and whatever it is that I need to do to get through this, I need to do that, and then refocus my attention on what I love before I lose what I love, So.
Yeah. So there it is. That's part one of my interview with Jon De La Rosa. There's one more part to go. That will be up tomorrow. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified when that video goes up. Also, if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. Smash that like button. It's much appreciated. And I appreciate all the love I've been getting from you guys. And make sure you tune in for part two of my interview with Jon De La Rosa. So for Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.